Join us right now, the House Minority Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise, joins us from the Russell Rotunda, I believe. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with all three of you.
It's great to have you as well. Hey, what has taken so long up on Capitol Hill? I know that the Senate passed a bill unanimously, I believe, a while back to protect our Supreme Court justices, particularly in the wake of that assassination attempt last week. Why is the House, your body, taking so long?
You know, this is a question that we've been raising for over a month now. The bill came over from the Senate, as you point out, unanimously. That doesn't happen often, to make sure that Supreme Court justices and their families can get protection. And then, of course, you've seen in the last few weeks not only so many different protests at the homes of justices, but the death threat, the man that showed up at Justice Kavanaugh's house trying to kill him, and yet they still won't bring the bill. So I raised this question to the majority leader. I know Leader McCarthy raised this to Speaker Pelosi, and they're now saying they may bring it this week, but this should have been done weeks ago. Again, over a month ago, it came over from the Senate unanimously. This could pass overwhelmingly if they put it on the calendar. I don't know why they're delaying it, but the Supreme Court justices are still under threat. Why the Justice Department, by the way, isn't enforcing federal law that says you can't go and try to intimidate and threaten Supreme Court justices in front of their homes. Any kind of federal judges are not by law allowed to be threatened that way, and yet the Justice Department won't take action. They need to. This is a real concern.
Well, Congressman, when this ruling comes down, the fear for the American people is it's going to be violent, and some of these protests could get out of control, and we could have more guys like we saw in front of Brett Kavanaugh's house. I mean, he came with a gun and zip ties. He came with a nail gun. He drove across the country. He had a plan to kill the justice. I mean, these are people's lives. Why is she stalling? You would think this would be a given.
It's very alarming. Again, this is a bill that could have been put on what we call the suspension calendar, meaning it would have passed overwhelmingly with Republicans and Democrats a month ago. What are they waiting for? You know, we've already seen that there are evil people that are out there that could have done something really bad last week, and there's no reason for it. Bill needs to pass, and the Justice Department needs to enforce current law.
All right, so let's talk about guns. Nobody really is probably more personally involved than you on Capitol Hill when people talk about illegal guns, violence, and instability of the mental health. So a bipartisan group gets together and they actually produced a result in which, remarkably, both sides seem on board with, and it looks as though the Republicans have enough votes maybe to get this out of the Senate. Just a quick look at what's in it. An investment in children and family mental health services, so an expansion of the behavioral health center model, protections for victims of domestic abuse, convicted domestic violence abusers, subject to domestic violence restraining orders. They'll be part of the NICS program. Funding for school-based mental health and supportive services. We see some of these wacky lunatics coming out of high school. Everybody knows they're unbalanced, but yet, since they're minors, their record doesn't transfer over when they become 18. That hopefully will come to an end. Funding for school safety resources, something that Democrats said they were against. Penalties for straw purchases under 21, an enhanced review process, but they didn't ban it. And telehealth investments in programs to increase access to mental and behavioral health services for youth and families in crisis. Can you sign on to this from what you know?
Well, first of all, and as you describe it, we've been hearing some of that, but we haven't seen any of the details. Right. And of course, on something this sensitive, the details really do matter. And so we've got to see the details. We do know this last week. We brought legislation on the House floor, by the way, which would have done a lot of those things, especially hardening schools, more mental health counselors in schools. Richard Hudson's bill was voted on last week, and Democrats denied us the ability to pass that version.
But are you encouraged? Are you encouraged that they took a lot of that, put in the Senate, and Senate led by Senator Chris Murphy, they signed off on it? It's almost nothing the president asked for.
Well, I'm glad that they're moving further away from any kind of gun control that would take away the rights of law-abiding citizens. That is always where you see the far left go. Joe Biden himself was talking about going after handguns. And so, you know, that's the real concern. I want to see the details. The details will matter here.
Absolutely, because some in Congress say it goes too far. Others say it doesn't go far enough. And ultimately, once they put pen to paper and show it to everybody, you'll be able to figure it out. Congressman, It's hard to believe it has been 5 years, but 5 years ago this morning, we were all here describing what happened to you and other members of Congress when you were practicing for the congressional baseball game in Alexandria, Virginia, on Flag Day. It was extraordinary. Given 5 years of perspective, what do you want us to know about what happened to you that day? Because by the end of the day, we all thought you were going to die.
Yeah, you know, and look, I've already had some texts from some of my colleagues this morning that were on the ball field with me last year. And keep in mind, it wasn't just me. The gunman came targeting all of the Republicans that were on the ball field. So over a dozen members of Congress were shot at. Look, my first thoughts are always with the heroes and the miracles. I mean, I shouldn't be alive today by most standards if you look at what happened and how that day ended up. But it was because of heroes, you know, David Bailey and Crystal Griner with Capitol Police, who saved all of us. Brad Wenstrup, my colleague from Ohio, who's a medical doctor, who immediately came and provided life-saving surgery. I wouldn't have even made it to the hospital. And then, of course, all the teams of surgeons. There were a lot of surgeries I went through. But look, God was on that ball field that day. There were miracles that no one can explain except that God was there protecting us, and I thank God every day that He was there to look out for all of us.
Well, Congressman, how's your recovery? Are you fully recovered, and how did it change the way you live your life?
Look, I'm just thankful for the things that I have, and that not a day I don't wake up where I don't thank God that I'm alive and get to do the things I love doing and spend time with my family. So I never take that for granted. I know every time it's easy for people to take the simple things in life for granted. Don't ever do that, because you don't know how long it's going to last. But you know, I'm still doing physical therapy once a week. Still have things I want to work on. I can't run yet, and I'm working on trying to run again. You know, Steve Ducey was out there on the ball field with me a year after the shooting, and I could hardly move in that game, but I'm able to move around a lot better. So I keep getting better, keep focusing on getting better, and just thankful to be alive.
Yeah, we showed some video of you coming back to Congress on September 28th, about 2 months later.
And when he was at the game at Nationals Park, you made an amazing play, the first play of the game, and you brought the house down.
Well, look, if you wonder if God could perform miracles, look at that. I mean, I couldn't even move, and yet I was able to catch the ball that came over to second base. I was on the ground because I couldn't get up, and yet I made the throw to first base. You know, God was there just saying, look, I'm still in charge. Let's have a little fun with it. And it was a magic moment, like so many others I've had. So lucky to be alive. By the way, this is also President Trump's birthday. He and Melania came to the hospital that night, you know, kind of cut his birthday short to go and help console my wife that night. And that was just such a warm moment. And he continued to call on me when I was in the hospital just to check on me to see how I was doing. And so many other people did. You saw a lot of warmth and love, strangers across the country praying. There's still great people in America. We always seem to focus on the evil people. I got to see so much good in people who just didn't even know me, just cared that somebody tried to take out somebody because of their political views, and that's not who America is. And there were just so many great people who said, we're praying for you, and we want you to get better. And I use that strength of those prayers to get better.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders supporter with a van full of firearms, and if you weren't in leadership, the security wouldn't have been there. And without security, everybody could have been doomed. Congressman Scalise, thanks so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thanks.
God bless you too.
What a story.
Yeah, I know he had the standing ovation when he went back to Congress. It was sweet to see them united and standing up for just doing the right thing and welcoming him back.
Indeed.